this panel will be about raising fund for DeFi projects. So maybe before we start the discussion, so everyone just introduce themselves. So let me introduce me first, a moderator. So I'm Ken from the Asia Token Fund Group. So a little bit about my background was, so I started in DeFi or the blockchain space about 6 years ago. I was a CMO of a project and we raised $40 million in about 4 days during the ICO time. So that kicks off my crypto career. So here I am now. So let's introduce the panel. So I guess each one of you, starting from Maury, can start.
Sure. Hi everyone, thank you for having me here. So my name is Marwan, I work with ConsenSys. ConsenSys is a blockchain technology company. We have a few things like the MetaMask wallet that I hope all of you have. Come see me later. If you pass me your key, I will help you put some token there. I'll be in the back. What I do with ConsenSys, actually, I work particularly with the builders and the projects who are deploying on multiple blockchains, Ethereum or others. These last couple of months I've been working with the DeFi and wallet segment, but it's a very exciting space, and so I'm curious about any type of project. Happy to chat to you later. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead. Introduce yourself, Shannon.
I'm Shannon Jayatikun, co-founder and CEO of Forward. We do the decentralized derivative platform and DeFi platform like a lending and borrowing, also including the perpetual future trading. We already raised $5 million from the 2 banks in Thailand, and also we already have some fund from the Kyber Venture. Kyber team, who is the strong partner with the ConsenSys team as well, and GBV Capital, some of the other investors that we already raised some fund.
Thank you so much. How about yourself?
Last one. So my name is Nopawan, or you can call me Vince. I am part of the sales and business development team from AWS. So AWS is actually the global platform. You can run the Web3 blockchain project into our platform. So my role is actually to onboard the startup to grow and success your business on us. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So the topic for today is about raising funds for DeFi project, but let's not just stay at DeFi. We can talk about Web3 in general. What are the best strategy and how do projects know the do's and don'ts and the mistakes they should avoid. So the first question is, what is the most effective strategy for raising funds for DeFi or Web3 projects? So let's go with Maroon again.
It's not an easy question, but let me break it down a little bit. So essentially there is two starting points that you should look at. First of all, actually raising funds in themselves are not a measure of your success or how big the company is. You're actually raising to achieve certain goals to help your company grow better and perform better. And so this brings me to the second point, which is like, who do you raise from? So you have a couple of things. You can go angel investors, you can go VCs, hedge funds, you can maybe do a community raise or with DAOs. All of these people have something to give you, which is connections, visibility, advisory. And so I think one of the best strategies that I would recommend is, first of all, decide who you're investing with. And it's not because their name is flashy or because their purse is big. It's mostly about what does this person can give me. They'll tell you, I can give you money, I can give you connections. Okay, good, what else? Is there a technology that you can give me? Do you have a team of advisors that can help you with my token economics? Do you have a security team that can look at my smart contracts? And so really go for quality over quantity. That's what I would say as a strategy. And yeah, I'll leave it at that for now. I can share later more.
Sounds good. What about Shannon? What's your view?
Yes, the strategy is like we need to find the first investor. The first investor is really important. It's maybe the angel investor. It's maybe your partner. It's maybe your investor that already know you, deeply know you. Who are you and what are you doing, right? Find your first investor is very important. And if you got the first investor, you can leverage them to get another investor because VC already know each other. If you get one, you can get 2, 3, 4, 5. So find your first investor is very important. Get your first investor.
Thank you. What about Vince?
So I add a little bit. Those two are in terms of project, but my view is actually in terms of the the one who do provide the investment for them. So my view is actually I looking for the project that really kind of profitability and also doing like kind of a sustainability this nowadays, because I believe that in the past that probably a different view, but this will be looking for a project that can last long and then not scam project anymore. Yeah. This is my view.
Exactly. So I guess all of us looks as if we have been in the industry for a long time. So the next question is, what is the key difference or what is the trend difference between fundraising for a DeFi or Web3 project compared to the traditional startup way, non-DeFi or non-Web3 project? What's the difference? So let's start with Aaron.
Yeah, I think actually the main difference, if I was to single one out, is really the structure or the legal implications for each one of them. I think in traditional investments you have some institutions with very well-defined regulations and whatnot that you can raise from. With DeFi and Web3 in general, we open the door to alternative ways of raising. We did ICOs, we did tokens, whatnot. So all of these are a bit gray, but also a changing, they have a changing nature. So a decision that you might take today to raise through a token, for example, that might impact you 3 years down the road when the environment changes or the chain that you raised on is no more, or the regulator comes and says, well, you're this type of security now. So this is really where it can be a bit difficult for some startups raising in Web3, because of the undefined nature and the multiple alternative ways for you to raise. So again, who you raise from is very important, and then looking forward is like, what would this raise be in 3 years, 4 years, legally or structurally or from an ecosystem point of view? How will it impact my startup?
Okay, Shannon, what about you?
Yeah, the key difference is about the token and the equity. In Web2, we invest through the startup founder have just like a equity, right? Yeah. But Web3 startup founder have the both equity and token, so they can leverage them. And as we said before, the token is a very important that when you get the team, the things that if the startup founder don't have enough money to hire some of their employee, they can leverage that token by give the token to their employee as an incentive to incentivize people at the first time when they start the team. Yeah, and when they got the fund, they can lose like a bit of the token to the investor. So the investor will invest in terms of the token, and some of investor can invest in equity too. These are two things that they can initiate to the investor.
Thank you. Okay,
so in terms of my view, right, when we talk about the DeFi, right, definitely as you mentioned, this is something very new for all the investors. So we need to take a look on the project a little bit, and it's kind of very difficult for even myself that in the technology. We couldn't understand the project very well. We need to find the partner who understand the like smart contract, try to find a way that what is the smart contract that working. So sometimes we need to do like the auditing the smart contract and then make sure that the project is good enough to go. Yeah, this is one of my point. And the other, I quite agree with Khun Chanon that the lead investor is very important, because they probably already do some analysis for us, and then we can follow them. Yeah.
Sounds good. I think the biggest difference for me, being a Web3 investor as well, I guess, for projects to understand the importance of tokenomics. I've been judging the panel, the startups for past days. None of the startups talks about tokenomics. How the token will impact the investment for the VCs. Yet they are asking VCs to invest in tokens. So understanding the aspects is the key difference between a traditional startup, because traditional startup is more about your mileage, your user acquisition, how you can scale up your users. But when you come to Web3 or DeFi, understanding the right tokenomics is very important. And linking back to the pitches that we have today and yesterday, so I guess the key question is, what do you think is the most important aspect that startups should have in their pitches or in the white paper or in their pitch deck? So for example, when you see the pitches today, what do you think is important for them to have? Let's say they have 5 minutes. What do you think is important for them to have in a pitch deck? Let's go with Maron first.
Call me old school, but value. what's the value of the project? I was sitting through the gaming pitches, for example. I'm a gamer. It takes you 30 seconds to say, this is a cool game, this is not a cool game. The value is entertainment. I don't care. Actually, I don't want to play to earn, I want to play to pay. If the game is good, I'll pay for it, right? I'm just taking the game example, but similar as well with all financial services and DeFi. What is the value? Like a lot of projects we speak to, they are too technical. Like they're very deep into what they're building. They are solving a fundamental property of blockchain and liquidity or capital efficiency, and the general public does not care about that. Right? My value is that I want to access some financial assets easy, transfer them, pay with them, spend them. So yeah, that's really the main thing. All the rest is, of course, to make your project more resilient. But if you cannot articulate in 1 minute, I am fixing this problem, and then people will start asking, oh, how, and so on. Tell me. If you just have to defend it to make them feel, okay, oh, he's making, then it's the wrong angle, essentially.
Exactly. What about you, Shannon?
The key value proposition that need to include in the pitch deck or white paper, because the things that the investor look is like how we different from other. It's very important, right? When we do something, we need to not to copy them. Just like create something new, have some research team to figure out the new way how to differentiate from other, and the key advantage that someone cannot copy us.
Okay, for me, yeah, I would like to touch a little bit on what you guys saying. That yeah, definitely when we talk, when we listen to the pitching, right? Most of the time they kind of keep talking without my understanding. We don't understand at all, because of most of the time they get the people who do the technology to be a speaker, not the business to talk about the business first. Yeah, that is a big problem. So my view. One thing that I really want to see is the traction. Yeah, you see, because of a lot of a project would like to create or initiate the idea, but they don't see, how can I say, the other project in the world. Sometimes the idea are exactly same thing, exactly same as your idea. So you need to get more traction to the investor. And one more thing that I would like to address is the sense of the urgency. Sometimes you pitch to the investor, but it's not okay, it's not interesting, but I don't want to invest. I don't feel like I have to invest right now. Yeah, you have to create a sense of urgency as well in the pitch as well. Yeah.
So to be fair, so we've been always talking about how project can fundraise, but to my understanding, in the market out there is still huge flow of money. There's always funds, there's always money existing no matter what market you are. So as a startup, how important is it to choose the right investor? So anyone can just give money. There's a lot of investors who just blindly invest. But to a startup, how important is it to choose the right investor or the quality of investor? Maron, go ahead.
I think there is a lot of argument that we made for that. I'll probably talk on something a little bit different, which is really the mission statement. Because of the nature of Web3, depending on why you are in this space, you have different reasons why you're here. Some people want to just build software, some people want to make money. There's a lot of people who want to create a decentralized world. And so that is very important for me. If you are associating yourself with certain investors, you're looking for people who can forward your mission. That is the most priority thing. You don't want to be tying yourself to a centralized chain or a centralized ecosystem or a fraudulent known trader because just giving you money. So there is a lot of hygiene you have to do, but more importantly, I feel like the culture fit. The people in the industry say vibe check, like we have to vibe along the same notes, we're doing the same thing. That can take you a long way because you're not investing just for one day or two. Hopefully you're going to be together for a couple of years. So having the same mission statement could be actually very important.
Sounds good. Shannon, what about you?
Oh, it's quite hard to answer this question, right? Because actually, startup founder want to have some of the notable investors. If we take a look at back like 2 years ago, the Three Arrow Capital is very notable investor, right? And many people want the Three Arrow Capital to invest in their property. And how about right now? If the Three Arrow want to invest in some of the DeFi product, they just say no, right? Find the right investor is so hard. So the thing that we do is like, if we want investor to invest, we need to have some synergy with them. We need to have something like for forward, right? When we have investor investing forward, we need to have them help in a bit of things that they can help, like a synergy between founders and the other DFs that they invested, or like the marketing or PR or some of events like this. The investor invest in us and can help us to spotlight in the market. That is the key point that we find, and we're looking for the synergy between the entrepreneur, between the startup founder and investor.
Sounds good.
So
Yes?
yeah, for me, three things that we're looking for from the partner, right? The investor. So number one, yeah, definitely we have to get the investor who understand our language. Yeah, we need to understand what we want to do. That's one thing. Secondly, we would like to get the investor who support us to earn more money, like revenue. Yeah. So expand what I can say, the go-to-market strategy. They will, if they can bring us to a broader market, that should be nice because we want to scale our business to all over the world. And third, I would say that we need to take a look on the technology as well because technology is very important. So if you scale, the technology have to support you with the good performance and the cost optimization. Yeah, three things.
Sounds good. So going back to DeFi or Web3 project, we've seen a lot of them pitching, but again, I think to be honest, I've seen 90% of them are just another project. So how can project founders, DeFi project founders or Web3 project founders, stands out against others? What can they do? What should they look out for? How can they stand out against others? Go ahead, Maran.
So from what I've seen a couple of variations. One very common variation is that you go and build something existing but in a different ecosystem. Let's say Arbitrum seems like it's the DeFi bed, so maybe I need to be the native DEX for Arbitrum and play there. I can even just fork Uniswap and just put it there. I don't have to innovate, right? That's one angle that is okay to a certain time, but probably there'll be consolidation of these chains, and so you're making a bet on a particular ecosystem and going for it. The other one that they do is actually a bet on a technology stack. Is EVM the way? Is Cosmos the way? Because once you build for one technology stack or one language, you're essentially locked in there for a bit. You'll have to do another effort to build again. And so that is also a strategy that I've seen taken somewhere else. The strategy that I like the most is really to understand how the Lego pieces of DeFi fit. And this is very important because DeFi, before anything else, it's composable finance. There will be some primitives, some simple stuff, swapping, lending, borrowing, all of these things. And then you can build on top, and you can build on top. And so this is really where I think we've done the base layers quite a lot. And it's time to see more projects that are innovating by building on top. And probably the most successful project is the last layer that has a seamless user experience. Anybody can use it. You don't need to know DeFi or blockchain or tokens. You just pop your app, scan QR code, magic happens in the back, and then you paid for your pad thai in Thailand, although you've never had a cent here or any money here. So this is really where the top players as they go. I think I really encourage the projects that learn from what everything has been built. Everything is open source. It's integratable. It's not a proprietary industry, and just compose on top, and then keep building until we reach that top of the pyramid. Hopefully in 5 or 20 years.
Nice. What about you, Shanna? What's up?
You cannot get spotlight in the market if if you put the investor hat, right? Many startup founder, more than 100 in this event too. More than 100 of these startup founder try to get in touch with the investor, and many days as a lot of investor got a lot of email, 100 of email per day, right? If I take a look back 2 years, I sent thousands of emails to distribute to a lot of venture capital, and no one replied me. No one replied me, right? And the things that I can spotlight in the market is use our investor to let them help, to refer us in other investors. This is the best thing that I can, and we can spotlight by using this strategy.
Nice. Thank you. What about you, Vince? What's your opinion?
So two things for me. First, I think we need to make investor trust on our team. Yeah, on the team, that we have the background, we have experiences enough to do the project. And secondly, I believe that when you pitch to the investor, you need to show what differentiate your project to the others. I quite agree with what you guys say that there's a lot of thousands of projects that do similar thing, but who should I pick up? Who the investor should pick up to start with? One of the common thing that the DeFi industry going to face is it's quite difficult for a user to understand. So if anyone can get and resolve or unlock this trick, I think it's a winner.
I think that's good. So going back to investors, so I've also noticed there's a lot of investors in the event. So I've also noticed that there are trends of a lot of new investors coming up, especially with big VCs like 3ACs, collapsing. A lot of LPs are going out on their own as well. So how can investors protect themselves? For example, be investing in DeFi, existing startup or mature DeFi projects. How can investors protect themselves and their funds?
I don't have an advice. I'm actually all for decentralization of investors, right? So we've seen recently, barely a couple of weeks back, on the vote for Uniswap deploying on BNB. And it was a bit worrying that you see it's actually two big heads clashing for alternative motives, right? So one of them has a bridge A, the other one has bridge B, and then because he did not select my bridge, I'm gonna vote against the deployment on BNB. And that is really centralization of power, of voting power for a Uniswap protocol deployment. And so the fact that hopefully the market matured big enough that anybody can invest and anybody individually can go and access a portfolio deal flow, let's say, of startups, and through DeFi itself that I can just put $100 token to support that project, that ultimately will lead to a better goal that we're trying to achieve, which is decentralization. So for those reasons, I do not have an advice on how investors can protect their dominance over startups.
What about you, John?
Many people trust each other, right? Pre-Allo Capital trust the Ducon and they invest in the Terra protocol. And many people, many investors, individual investors, invest, follow the top VC. We will see the project that Binance invest or some of the Coinbase venture invest, and we want to invest in this project. But we don't know. We don't know how they are doing, right? But they invest that follow the top tier investor. That is the wrong direction, wrong investment direction. So the thing to protect investors is they need to trust in the code more than people. They need to have the technical auditor guys for especially the top venture capital. They need to have some of the technical auditors, the financial advisors to look into the code and be looking to the financial mechanism behind the scene of the Web3 platform and help them check. And if they trust the code, if they trust the financial mechanism behind the scene, they can invest with that confidence.
Exactly. What about you, Vince?
Yeah, okay. Quite agree with those two guys. Even on my company, right? When we do want to partnership with any project, one thing that we need to take a look is actually, apart from what we talk to the team, we need to take a look on the what they call a smart contract. Yeah, we need to get a team or any partner who can dig down to the coding or what we call the brain of the company. We do the auditing. We do some kind of auditing on the smart contract. What did they do? Is that the scam project or not? Yeah, and I love the idea from your guy that if we can how can they leverage the investment into the small pieces like ICO, IDO, that should be lower risk to the investor. Yeah.
I think that's good. This is very good advice, especially for startups, because to them they think it's just when you pitch to investors will just give you money blindly. But especially having experience coming from getting investment from large corporations, due diligence is very, very important. So there are even some VCs that tell the project founders, hey, I want to look into your bank account and all your founders' bank account to see whether you can sustain. So all these due diligence, smart contract audits are very, very important. Yeah. So all this is something that startups, be it DeFi or Web3, should take a look at. Instead of just showing your project to investors and thinking that is enough. Yeah. Okay. So I guess for final question, so what advice would you guys give to entrepreneurs who wants to start a Web3 projects? Or be it they want to do fundraising, or even before that they think of an idea to start. What kind of advice would you guys give them? Maroon, let's start.
Sure. I think the one of the probably best thing to invest in as a startup founder is really to take your time. So be very careful with your burn rate, focus on building, look what's happening around you, try to learn from it. It's better to learn from somebody else's mistake than rush and find yourself in that situation. And that's why we see, for example, many projects, popular projects today, they don't even have a token yet. No need, right? They still wait and see approach. So take your time. Also, raising is not an event that you have to rush to do. It's an ongoing thing. And so build relationships with all the investors, angels or VC along the time. There is many of them here today. Chat with them, have advice, know each other. Not because you're raising next week, because you might raise next year or something like that. And so I think this brings me back to my first point, which is the biggest value of investors is not their money, it's their expertise and advice that they can give you, and the relationship that you can leverage with them. And that you can start already building it without accepting a check yet from them. Yeah? If your project is intricate, of course, and if you're a nice person. But yeah, so that's what you do. Take your time, continuously build your pipeline of investors. Don't wait until, hey, I'm raising next month, my burn rate only has, tripled, I'm running out of business by the end of the year. So that's it really. It's a long-term relationship.
Yes, that's clear. What about you, China? What advice would you give to startups?
Yeah, the core things that I view advice is like a co-founder and team. It's very important, right? Because as me, as a founder, I cannot do it by myself. Everything I can do with team, with my co-founder. So I will speak many times that co-founder is very important. It's a life partner, like a wife and husband. We need to find the best co-founder, need to find the best team. The unfair advantage of Forward is like we have the financial mathematics team who can invent the new kind of technology and can dive forward, move forward.
For me, I myself talk to a lot of projects, every day. So I'll see that when I talk to the entrepreneur or talk to the project owner, I will say that they just have an idea, but they don't know what they want at the end. So I would suggest that you come to us with keep the end goal very clear. What you guys want to exit, how many years you want to exit and how. And then you work backward from that one. Okay, if you want to exit like within 5 years, and this is a project, what is your solution going to address the problem? And what is your team? What is your product? What is your plan? Yeah, something that come with a clear plan in mind, and then come to us. And one important thing that I would like to share is talk to VC, talk to your team, talk to people try to surf like go to internet to see what's going on in the market, because I believe that everything moves very fast, right? You probably see your idea that you think is very good, but you can see similar thing in the internet.
I totally agree with that point. So this is relates to what I was about to say. I think for me, my advice would be build your brand image. Sometimes you forget, a lot of young founders, new startups, they just focus on building their product, but they are not focused on building their own brand image. Nobody knows them. When somebody Googles your name or even check on LinkedIn, I'm like, okay, you got very few connections, you are not well connected, nobody knows you. You might have a good idea, but how would a VC invest? So even if you look in traditional companies, some of them have weird projects, but they come from like Rocket Internet, but they get a 15 million seed investment. How do they do it? Connections, build your brand presence. Go around connecting. Don't just sit inside home and email to VCs, but not attending events or not building your brand image on social media, especially LinkedIn, because these are free platforms like LinkedIn. You should put in effort to do something about it. Have as much connection as possible. Talk to as many people as possible, get to know everyone as much as possible. I think this is also as important as your products. So time's up. So any last words before we say goodbye?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
I'll see you later for another panel.